sometimes I have a hard time with the accent until somebody says where they're from, and it's like, ding,
Oh
ding.
yeah,
Aussie girl.
big girl. And were you born there?
Yeah, born
Yeah.
and raised in Melbourne. Yeah, never really moved out of the place, to be honest.
No, you like it so much. Well, it's beautiful, but we have yet to go there. I know Scott wants to go there for diving. That's his big thing. But just to say you step foot on in Australia, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, so haven't even like you'd probably want to go to the Great Barrier Reef for that.
Yeah, 100%. However, though, it was funny. I was scuba diving with a couple ladies from Australia, and they were like, "Oh no, you don't want to go there. It's like you want to go to Bali, and that's the best spot in the world to dive." And it's like, it's funny how when we have an oyster in our backyard, it's like there's people that rave about the Canadian diving in the Pacific Ocean, and it's like it's freaking freezing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different kind of enjoyment, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's beautiful stuff to see. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. Oh, the world is a fascinating place, and I love the ocean. And we've hit winter here, so I can't
Yes.
swim as often as well, I'm not swimming at all unless I get a wetsuit. And it's freezing. The water is freezing. And our temperatures have just really recently plummeted. We've got a beautiful day today, so today's one out of the box, but we've had a lot of rain and it's just really sunk in, and our days are getting shorter, obviously, until the winter solstice, the 21st of June. So we're really feeling it. So by 5 o'clock, if you haven't gone for your walk or got your washing out, bad luck. We're just closing up and getting the blinds down to keep the house warm. But we have some pretty we've got some pretty bitter winds here too. So I was talking to a couple of guys from Sweden, and they said they visited us last year in September, and they came to Melbourne, and they said you have really bitter wind, and I'm thinking, geez, they're from Sweden. Could you imagine? It must be bad, but it has just over the last a couple of years really ramped up in terms of that bitter cold what we're experiencing.
now is it a damp cold? Because I know in southern Ontario, I grew up on Lake Ontario,
Yes.
and like the wind just bites right through you in the winter because you're right on the lake, and it's damp, and it doesn't matter what you're wearing, it just bites right through you.
Yeah. I guess it probably not as damp. I think it depends on the year and depends where you are. Like if you're going into areas like, we've got, our Dalesford area, our Ballarat area. So Ballarat's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from me. And I know with clients I've had there, and I've stayed there too. And overnight, it gets really, really cold. And the mornings are quite chilly as well. Whereas you find probably more closer to Melbourne City, it's not as bad. It's not as sort of bitter. But it can get cheeky, yeah, definitely. And windy, I think around September, we'll probably pick up the most wind. And it's funny because we've got our celebration, which is we've got the show, the Melbourne show, and for some reason they have it in September, and it's the worst windy, rainy time for kids. And I just can never understand that. And I just remember taking the kids when they were little, and we would be all rugged up, and we'd have to leave in between because it was so wet and so windy. Now that's our spring. It just takes Melbourne a couple of months to get into the spring. I don't think we hit the spring until probably December, and even then, like we see a lot of shows from the US, and you guys seem to transition to spring really nice in your April, no, March. And it seems like it's, you're getting the blossoming flowers and, the beautiful days. Whereas we seem to linger on. Our winter seems to be stretched out. We don't have the snow, but we really get that stretched out, dull, doom and gloom, cold.
Well, that's kind of depending on where you are. Like
Yeah.
For sure.
Vancouver, where I spent the last 30 years, our spring sometimes is in February.
Ah.
But then in March again, it'll drop cold again, and I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
everything. And then,
Okay.
like in Toronto, it's way later. Something like when I was a kid, I don't know about so much today, but I remember being in a t-shirt in March. Well, that
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Isn't that
It's
funny how
all
it
over the world.
changes? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember being in primary school, so, 8 to 10 years old, and our summer kicked in quite quickly, and we'd have some real severe heat in November.
Yeah.
And we get that every now and again, but it's just lately it's been taking some time just to kick off. But look, I don't know, but people have said, around the world that the weather's just changed dramatically.
I just think the world's shifted. Like people blame
Oh,
it on all
yes.
sorts of stuff, and I'm sure we haven't contributed to the fact, but I'm sure it's just in the life cycle of the Earth. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just cyclical
absolutely.
in some way, but yes, either
Absolutely.
way, Australia, we need to go
yeah,
there someday.
Come and visit. Yeah.
Yes, it is on the bucket list. So I just want to cover do you want to go by Sharon, and can you say your last name?
Yeah, sure. So Casa Galea.
Okay, it
good
is
luck on
Sharon.
that one.
No, I got that already before she even came
There
on.
you go. Yeah,
Sharon Casar
Lisa.
Galia.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go
beautiful.
ahead. So I said chai, which is like yes, and Thai here. I'm like, yeah, chai. Okay. All right. And you are a functional medicine practitioner, holistic health practitioner, herbalist, and holistic health coach with a passion for helping people uncover the root causes of their health challenges.
Yes, perfect.
That's okay. And a special focus on perimenopause, postmenopause, nutrition, stress, anxiety, trauma, and whole person wellness.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Perfect.
Good stuff. And of course, you work with women and men.
Yes. Yep,
Yes, this
both.
book.
Yep.
Awesome. So, are you ready to get started?
Absolutely, I am. I think everything's good here. I'm not able to record this myself, or no?
I haven't had that question yet. I'm not sure you're able to
The
record
only thing
yourself.
we would ask though is you not do anything with it until we put it out there.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And it'll be a few months before it does get aired at this point.
We're actually working on maybe ramping up to have, like, we're at 43 shows already done this year.
Oh, wow.
52.
Next week we'll actually be at 53, so that's halfway through the year. So we're hoping that we can actually start doubling up.
Yes.
That's what our goal is this year, is to start getting it.
It's almost a full-time job. Let's just say
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a lot of shows already this year.
it's a lot. Yeah, we've been very
Most of them have been in the last month.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We actually decided to hire somebody to help take us to the next level, so that's kind of where we're on the push. And then I was in Ontario or in Canada for a while, and Lisa in a month is going to Canada, so we're trying to get it so there's
Of course.
less work stocked
Yeah.
up.
Yep, that's understandable.
I like going on rants sometimes.
That's okay.
All good. All good. All right, we'll get started then. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Soulmates and Suitcases. My name is Lisa Burley, and beside me is my amazing husband, Scott Burley. And if you have not been to our podcast before, our podcast is a space where we have honest conversations about healing, resilience, relationships, mental health, and of course, the many journeys that shape us. And today we have a special guest with us. We'd like to welcome Sharon Casar Galia. Welcome, Sharon.
Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Scott, for having me on your show today.
Thank you. We're excited to have this conversation today. And I'll tell you a little bit about Sharon before we get started, and then we'll jump right in. So Sharon, sorry, I've got my sheet blowing in the air conditioning wind here. Sharon is a functional medicine practitioner, holistic health practitioner, herbalist, and holistic health coach with a passion for helping people uncover the root causes of their health challenges, with a special focus on perimenopause, postmenopause, nutrition, stress, anxiety, trauma, and whole person wellness. Sharon empowers individuals to restore energy, balance, hormones, calm the nervous system, and reconnect with their body's innate wisdom. Through her holistic approach, Sharon supports both men and women in achieving their greater health and vitality. And she's also the creator of programs focused on men's health, gut health, which I'm very excited to talk to you about, and teen wellness, helping people of all ages build a strong foundation for lifelong well-being. So we're really excited to have you on today. And maybe you can start, Sharon, by telling us a little bit about yourself, or even what your background is right now, and what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Lisa. So, yeah, I'm a functional medicine practitioner based here in Melbourne. And I've been in this space for about 20 years, working away. Before I sort of took a deep dive into functional medicine, I was a holistic health and wellness coach and been working with Diabetes Victoria for some of that time as a holistic health coach and nurse. But I've been in clinical practice. I've also been in health promotion. So I've worked with cultural and linguistic diverse communities. I've worked in settings helping people with sporting injuries. I've worked with teenagers, just talking to them about safe sex and hepatitis B. And I've also been working with Indigenous groups before that. And just really running a lot of, health promotion programs as well as, healthy eating, exercise programs, and really just venturing in from Diabetes Victoria, which opened me up to, adding that to my other business, which was the holistic health and wellness coach. So Embrace, which is behind me, Embrace was meant to start around COVID, but unfortunately in the longest lockdown that we had, I was unable to sort of start the functional medicine then. So that's been going probably since about 2023, where it was launched. And since then I've been working with men and women on gut, adrenal, thyroid, perimenopause, menopause, migraine, energy, adrenal, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome. So I also have a mast cell activation, POT syndrome. So I really look after a lot of the connective tissue stuff too. So my goal basically was to help people who had gone down the silos of specialist care and come up for air and not get anywhere. So there's been no conclusion about their diagnosis. So I'm here as that bridge to help people to obviously look at the root cause of what's going on. And root cause medicine is all about looking under the hood to see exactly what the underlying causes are. So instead of treating symptoms isolated to other symptoms, I treat the whole person, and I'm mindful of what's happening under the hood, as I said, at the person from toe to head to toe. So what I do is basically, formulate a bespoke program for people. So a program that's based on their biochemistry. So I look at their bloods, I look at their medical reports, I look at the questionnaires I've sent out to people. So I take a thorough look at what's going on before I even meet them sometimes, and come up with a bit of a protocol for them. So, I cover lifestyle intervention, herbs, because I'm herbal educator as well, nutrition, of course, as functional nutritionist, and I look at, supplements, and good quality supplements as well, not just a one size fits all approach, not a let's throw in the kitchen sink as well supplement. It's mainly supplements that clients, I feel, I've recommended for them that are, of a great dose, of a great quality as well. Because not everybody needs supplements, and not everybody, needs herbs. Sometimes it might be nervous system work, you know what I mean? But I meet the person where they're at and where they are and what they want from me ultimately. So I really get an understanding of what's going on. And the point of difference with me as well is that, the clients, when I work with them, they can access me in between treatment sessions. So it's not like they book in an appointment with me, I I do a little bit of that, sort of maybe the foundation work, and then they go, and then they come back to me for their next appointment if they book it in. It's more like I hold their hand through their journey. Because people go away, they've had the appointment with you, they want to feel sort of connected, because I know that's exactly what I was looking for when I went down those rabbit holes with my own health. So I wanted to be there as that connector, as that person that they could, call or send a message and say, hey, I've started this supplement. Am I meant to feel nauseated, or am I meant to have this experience, or what do you think of this product? Should I buy this this sort of food that you might have, I might have recommended something and they had to get an alternative. So it's sort of being there, as I said, to hold their hand. So that's the point of difference that I bring in the work that I do in the Embrace, particularly in the Embrace Functional Medicine program for women. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, we get bombarded by the amount of information. Like,
Yeah.
you can learn, if it's real, I don't know, but you can learn about so much out there, and it's like, oh, that guy on that post said I should be taking that. And so we think we all need the same thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
our bodies to evolve as well over time. So just, you can be taking a supplement for a certain period of time, and all of a sudden, your body has shifted or changed, or a different time of life, right? So having someone like yourself kind of helps to really properly educate and personalize, right, the
Yes.
service to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, because we do change. Yes. Sorry, Scott.
I know even for myself, like I'm a diabetic.
Oh.
And for the first 5 years of my diabetes, I treated it with food.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No medication whatsoever.
Yep.
However, then I went on some medication for an issue I was having that shot my diabetes up higher than it was when I got diagnosed with diabetes.
Yeah. Yes.
When I went back on medication, and now I'm on medication, and I have a harder time keeping my count down on medication than I do when I was eating the food. And I know some of it's stress, some of it's like sleeping patterns, and
Yeah.
it's like I haven't quite figured out what else yet. However, I see way less stress in my life today than I used to have, so it's kind of like I don't know how stress plays in it, but
Yeah, absolutely it does. Well, cortisol affects blood sugar regulation. It affects
Yeah.
insulin resistance, and also wreaks havoc with the gut microbiome. So if you're stressed out, those cortisol levels can really, come out with insulin. They both come out to play together. But it might not be that you're feeling also stressed. It might be just that that innate stress or eustress or whatever is happening. But with diabetes, we know if the terrain is not settled, what can happen is that little things can actually increase your blood sugar, and also affect the insulin resistance pattern. So you need to look at everything. And look, sleep is one of them. If you've got sleep apnea issues, if you're not sleeping a full night, if you're missing that sleep latency, alcohol, other medications can disrupt it. Cravings. Are you eating enough protein? Are you getting enough fiber? So it's sort of one of those ones. That's why I love working. Because I've worked with Diabetes Victoria for 17 years. So, I love figuring out the patterns with people, and waist measurement's a big one. You need to look at your waist measurement. If your waist measurement is not within the recommended waist measure for men and women, then we need to look outside of what's going on there, because that can tell us a lot about metabolic flexibility, fat deposition, obviously around the visceral organs, and blood sugar balancing. And that metabolic flexibility is so important, especially at a specific age group. And Scott, being male, unfortunately puts your risk factor. So we have the OSD risk score that we send out so we can check here whether you are at risk of type 2 diabetes or not. And males, obviously, I think that puts an extra 4 points up anyway. And being in a certain age group can increase that too, obviously. having a genetic predisposition. So we know that genetics, loads the gun and environment pulls the trigger. So looking at your lifestyle, definitely, and seeing some of those patterns there too, and saying, right, what am I doing? Keeping a journal is always a good idea to keep accountable, especially for fiber. We're not getting enough fiber, and that's probably one of the main reasons too. We need 30 grams of fiber a day, and I think here in Australia we're getting between 3 and 5 grams, and I think the same in the US. I think the same is also the US of about 3 to 5 grams. We're not getting the recommended amount. Sedentary behavior is another one. That's a big one for diabetes. We're sitting longer. Sitting is the new smoking. Yeah, and it really contributes to cardiovascular disease and stroke, because diabetes is that umbrella, you see. Unfortunately, the cardiovascular disease and stroke, those comorbidities are factored into that. And we need to look at movement, regular movement, as a part of that, reducing our risk factor as well.
Mm-hmm. Now that we're just on the topic of diabetes, for those people who are listening or watching, what sort of symptoms or things might they kind of go, ooh, maybe I have diabetes, or maybe I could be going down that path? So what sort of things actually could they be thinking about? You did mention lifestyle and activity and those things, but what else, maybe symptom-wise, they might be noticing?
Yeah, cravings is a big one. So if they're craving lots of sugar, craving fats and salt, that's a definite one to look out for. The other one is energy crashes. So if you find you crash around 3 to 4 p.m., that 3 p.m. slump, I call that, then that's sort of worth investigating what your insulin resistance or what your insulin levels might look like, and what also your cholesterol levels might look like too. If you're putting weight on around the middle a little bit more, even if you're trying to lose weight, and I mean, that could be quite broad. Everyone's interpretation of dieting and losing weight is different and very personal. But if that's a factor, if that's happening, I'd look into that as well, and probably go and get a cardiometabolic blood testing done. Tiredness and lethargy in the daytime, and inability to sleep through the night. So being quite nocturnal, but having that daytime sleepiness feeling is definitely worth looking into as well. Checking if you've got sleep apnea. So we know sleep apnea, I think in the US, is the leading cause of cardiovascular disease and stroke risk and heart attack in the US. So really important to look at that. Not only is that risk of diabetes, but also the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is connected to that. So, just feeling tired, if you're feeling tired and you feel like you've had sleep, or you can't sort of put your finger on, you're eating well, you're exercising well, often that could be, insulin resistance issues as well. Yeah.
And so if someone, was thinking that this may be the situation they're in, when they come to you, like, what does that sort of program or steps look like? What happens?
Yeah, so with an exploratory session beforehand, I'll send a whole heap of questionnaires out online. And then in that time, Lisa, I'll be collecting from them their blood test results, and I'll be collecting a whole lot of, their symptoms, and I categorize that and I review that. So when they come in, I'm able to tell them where they're at, what their metabolic flexibility looks at. For the blokes, I have in the Men's Thrive program, the cardio-metabolic-ish program, and that's a sort of an additional thing. So I tell them what everything is looking like for them. I take a deeper dive into their cholesterol. Sometimes I may need to ask them to maybe go back to see their general practitioner to get some more tests for me, because the general practitioner has just done the stock standard. And if that's not often, GPs may say, you don't need that, it's fine, your results are fine. Then functionally, I do it from my end, and I'm able to get some extra results added on to that. So when they come in, I give them a full summary of what's happening. And often it's an eye opener for them when they do come in the first time, because they'll be like, wow, I didn't realize that this and this is actually happening, and I'm going through that. I didn't realize, this actual cholesterol marker was high, or I didn't realize my inflammatory markers were high, when maybe they only checked one inflammatory marker and not the others, So it can be quite eye opening. And from that session, I'll say to them, there might be a bit of homework for them to do. So I might, tell them before they come back for the protocol session in 4 weeks, that there might be some food changes we need to make. There might be some elimination that we need to do, depending. That's not everyone. There might be some lifestyle interventions. There may be, and most often there would be, reducing stress. That's probably a big one that I didn't mention when you asked me. When we look at the stress side of things, I put out a stress questionnaire. And often, we were talking about stress before. You may not, feel like you're stressed, but you could actually have some innate stress going on and some worries going on. But being humans we are, and our nervous system protecting us, often we can squash that down and not really, be, honest about it, because we're keeping ourselves safe. And you could just be going by the fact that, yeah, I feel fine. There's nothing stressing me. All is good. If you're busy and you've got a lot of things going on, we all do. We live in a fast-paced lifestyle now. Everyone's lifestyle is very different now to what that was in 1986, even in the 90s. Since social media, we're far more stressed. Since technology, since internet, we're far more stressed now from that. We're on demand, full stop. And the body's quite primitive. Nervous system is quite primitive. It's still, it takes a data set of what you're going through and what has happened for you in your past. So stress is a big one. So that I will definitely look at lifestyle intervention for as a first and foremost for someone coming in. Yeah.
It's actually funny how you brought up technology and stress. It's like one of my biggest stressors is technology. And it's
Same.
like, just before we got on this call, I'm on the internet and I'm attempting to email somebody
Yeah.
and I'm copying and pasting, and it's pasting but nothing's showing up, and the slide bar is telling me it's pasting.
Yes.
There's nothing there, and it's like,
Yeah, I hate
so
that.
go back and try this and go back, and I get aggravated, and finally it's like, okay, well, the last resort, shut the computer off and restart it, and then it worked.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
It's like, and I actually put it down 3 times before okay, stop, continued eating, and then brought it back up, and it's like.
You talk about stress. I had a friend tell me, she said it's like you have many tabs open.
Oh,
Like
yes.
and so if you can start to delete some of those tabs, or have someone else work on your tabs, offload some of the many things you have
Absolutely.
open. People don't even realize it until they're deleted. Those
Yeah.
tabs are away. Yeah, it's very interesting.
It makes such a huge difference, because that allostatic load that we, because that can result in burnout eventually.
Yeah.
If we're overloading too much. And it's funny, because that's how a lot of women come in and they explain those tabs being open. And I think too, because we've got so many, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to get onto this, I've got to get onto that. And then, add on the layers of, technology with that. And look, I mean, my kids say to me, the generation I'm in, I'm meant to understand technology better, because when I was in grade 6, I think Apple released the computer, the Apple computers. I remember them in grade 6. Well, I would say maybe 11 or 12. But still, my understanding, and I struggle. I still struggle. Like, I can just get myself through. And I find that a big stressor. Like, I can do my work and I love working with my clients, but when it comes to all the tech stuff, that stresses me, and I'm constantly worried, how to do things. And I probably do things the long way. And I think, that's what happens a lot of the time. Unfortunately, it's just a long-winded way of doing things.
And yeah, we probably accelerated, like the whole technology world just kind of came on. When you think about, the lifespan of humans, the technology part of it has just really intensified and intensified quickly over the last, say, 20, 30 years. And it's like we're just starting to realize a lot of the effects, whether it's EMFs, like the electronic magnetic fields, or it's like the light, constantly looking at the same way, or the way we hunch over, or all these sort of things are starting to kind of add up in our bodies.
Absolutely.
So are you seeing people like our age in the 50s? Are you seeing a lot of people going, "What's going on with me?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially like when we're doom scrolling at this age group as well, and we're being affected by the blue light. And just what that's doing to a lot of, brain waves and their thought processes and their memory, and everything else. And I think it's really overwhelming as well, because there's that evolutionary mismatch between us and the environment. Because I mean, I'm a kid of the 80s. I went outside to play and, partied in the 90s. Technology has sort of started coming in then, but now I feel like it's driving us, and in my age group, more to stay inside, stay on social media, on technology, and just the scrolling at nighttime and the endless doom scroll that we do. But it is affecting a lot of my clients, and especially Lisa, for those going through menopause. Because of that neuroplasticity, the change in the brain overall, and their confusion about what they're going through. So I feel that social media or technology is making it a lot worse as well.
There are good points to technology. That's the tricky
Absolutely,
part, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we can't. Yeah, I wouldn't survive without it now.
Overload.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think there's a point of we have to stop.
Exactly.
Lisa and I was talking about, brought it up to Lisa, because here in Thailand, you can get a complete major blood panel done for like $400
Yep.
Canadian. And I was kind of saying, like, Canada, for example, gives free health care. Now, if they started when you were a baby and did complete blood panels every year, to me, that would stop a lot of the cancers, or maybe not stop, but they would catch it so much sooner that the medical costs would go straight down, and they could put all that money to something else. And like I said to Lisa, she goes, "Well, everybody wouldn't want to do it." I'm like, "Well, then they don't get free health care. If they want free health care, do a blood panel every year."
Yeah.
But you're like, for yourself, you're very data driven, right? You get all that information, and from the data, then you start making those changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this day and age, AI could almost do it all. Like the doctor would, or the lab could just submit it right into the computer, and you can get it emailed the results.
Absolutely, you can. You can. It's how you analyze that data too, I think, as well. That's the issue. Because someone had asked me yesterday, she said, "Oh, I can actually, for $99, she said, I think I can get like 90 biomarkers or 100 biomarkers sent to me." And I said, "Oh, how is that interpreted?" She goes, "I don't think it's just sent to me in data set." And I said, "Well, you need that to be interpreted." So I think really, with what I do in my program, because it's often what we get in the GP setting is not enough to take an in-depth look. For example, thyroid's such a classic one, a thyroid panel. You'll only get your thyroid stimulating hormone most of the time with your GP practice, your conventional medicine. And if they feel that's in quite a broad range, if they feel that that's within their broad range, they're not going to investigate that further. Whereas in functional medicine, it's quite narrow. So we'll want the background data. The thyroid stimulating hormone is just the messenger of what's going on. It's not telling us everything. We want to see if you're converting thyroid, if you're utilizing your thyroid, what your reverse T3 looks like, what your stress looks like. And we can't see that just in a very basic panel, that sometimes those drivers aren't found in conventional medicine. And unfortunately, people are still running around with thyroid issues unresolved because they're being told by their conventional medicine practitioner that, no, your results are fine. They fit within what we see. But, there's the other thing. Then clients will come back and say, oh, well, we had the Medicare. We don't have, Medicare won't classify that and won't cover you. Your health insurance won't cover you. You'll have to independently pay for that. And I mean, to get a decent panel here in Australia, just for thyroid alone, I mean, you could pay up to $300 to $400 just on thyroid.
Thyroid. I've heard that word thrown around a lot, thyroid, and like, what is it people are noticing if they may have a thyroid issue?
Yeah, so thyroid is a really interesting organ. A thyroid is like your old radio transistor and the actual aerial. It's picking up signals all the time. That's how the thyroid is. So it's on watch and guard all the time. And thyroid's related to our hormonal system, our immune system, our reproductive system for women specifically, cycles and everything as well, and metabolic health in general. So your metabolism, your thermostat as well. So our heating and cooling system. And it works in conjunction with all of our organs. So there's an axis or a highway that's connected to the thyroid to a lot of your organs. If it is off, then we can end up with with hyperthyroid. So if someone's got a high hyperthyroid, then we can end up with things like Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism. So they'll lose weight. They may have the boggling eyes, the eyeballs. That they will feel really anxious all the time, lose weight even though they're eating, can't sleep, sort of that real antsy-pantsy. And then we have the other side, which is your hypothyroidism. And that's where people find it hard to lose weight. They feel sluggish. Their cycles may be off if they're in that cycle phase. They may find it hard to fall pregnant. They'll be constantly tired and sluggish. So it's really important that the thyroid markers are really checked, because your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is what we do get from your conventional setting testing, is not going to tell us a lot about what's happening in the background. So we want to know about the conversion. We want to know, is stress attacking it? Because stress can attack the thyroid. If cholesterol is high, sometimes we don't realize, is it thyroid issues? If your iron is tanked, it can affect your thyroid. So sometimes we don't make that association with exhaustion. The thyroid works really closely with the gut as well. So gut symptoms can predispose a poor thyroid health profile. So it's taking a deep dive once again in that too.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, say we went and got this really wing-dingy blood test done here, and we sent it to you.
Yes.
Now, would you read it and then go, or diagnose it and then go, oh, I think you need to go get this research more?
Yes.
Okay.
Because when I checked, yes, sorry.
I was saying to Lisa that I wanted us both to go get it done, because I mean, I have some health issues. I've had prostate cancer. I got diabetes. Last year they told me I have my cholesterol levels going up. It's not quite high, but they kind of want to give me medication, and I'm not going down that route. I'm like, because everybody I've heard that starts on the cholesterol medication just gets up and up and up and up.
Is it a statin?
Yes, statin.
Yeah, and I truly believe there's an underlying cause, and with that, having said that, it's like I learned even with my mental health years ago, I can make more money if I invest in it than I can by not investing in it. Because if I don't invest in this temple, who's going to?
Absolutely.
Like, nobody's going to.
You,
And that's why I love shows like this with you that helps get the word out there that you can do something different. And going back to the family GP, so pre-getting diagnosed with diabetes was right at COVID. I had started working for a different company because COVID had shut down the movie business, and I'm driving truck, and it's an hour from point A to point B, and I'm just going back and forth. And I would pee at this end, I would stop and pee in the middle, and I would pee at this end. And I was drinking water alcoholically.
yeah.
Like gallons of
He's
water.
been 23 years sober, so just
Ah,
FYI.
yes.
Yeah.
So I call my doctor and I tell him what's going on. And he goes, well, I think your antidepressants might be doing it. So I go cold turkey off my antidepressants. Call him 2 weeks later and going like, well, I went off my medication. It's been a month or whatever it was. And I go, it's still happening. He's like, well, I don't really know. And then I had a buddy a couple days later go, you need to get checked for diabetes. And in the midterm, I'd been telling people that you're losing weight. So long story short, I had to make him send me for diabetes test. And then he calls me, I go on Monday for the blood test. Tuesday, he calls me up and goes, yep, you got diabetes. He calls me back on Friday and goes, you know, your counts are so high that you should be in the hospital. But here's the kicker. So I was in the hospital for 3 days.
Not surprising.
They weren't doing anything that the actual doctor told the nurses to do. So I leave. And ever since then, my doctor's like, I've never seen anybody drop their counts like you. You can drop them hugely. Now, I told you earlier, I've struggled in the last year since I was on medication, or different medication, and I had to go back on metformin. But when I wasn't on medication, I could drop my counts with exercise and food.
Yeah.
However, it's like what you said, am I robbing myself of everything else?
Yeah.
I'm eating now. So who knows?
Yeah, it's to start somewhere, because it does feel some days like, it could be that, it might be that, it could be that, and it feels like it's a kind of a shot in the dark. So it's where to start, and it's going to start with you, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. We can over pathologize on everything as well. And I think that's what we tend to do. And I was talking to somebody yesterday and was saying, you know, just even if you're in an energy slump or you're feeling bloated, you count back and think, okay, what did I eat last meal? What did I do yesterday? Did I sleep last night? Did I do this? Did I do that? Because it's multifactorial. I mean, it could be anything. And I think, you know, it's a bit like with the thyroid as well. Like if we don't look into what's happening with the thyroid, you know, if that person's been diagnosed with Hashimoto's and then given thyroxine medication, the doctor will say, here, take this medication. It's fine. You'll be right. It'll fix everything. And the person will do that. They'll go away. They'll take the dose and they'll go, oh yeah, I feel good. I feel great. This is good. And then all of a sudden, I feel sluggish again. I feel tired. Weight's an issue, blah, blah, blah. Cycle might be an issue. And they'll think, oh my God, my symptoms have returned, because we're not actually getting to the root cause of the problem. And you're not looking after the thyroid in the way it should be. Thyroxine's not going to fix that. Medications are not going to fix that. Diabetes is the same. You could be on metformin. I mean, I could think of 101 different natural forms of metformin that are going to do the same thing. I mean, you can reverse type 2 diabetes. It's reversible. You know, it's just making sure you're looking after the whole system. You're looking after your home. Your body is your home. And do you need essential vitamins and minerals? Are you missing certain supplementation? Is there gut issues happening, underlying gut issues that are creating insulin? Yeah, resistance. Insulin resistance is very, it can come about quite quickly as a cardiometabolic factor. And especially if gut is off, if the gut microbiome is poor of specific bacteria and has certain pathogens in it, then you'll find that it can actually be quite stubborn. And, you know, metformin, what are you going to do? You're going to keep increasing the dose. They're going to change things. They might give you a different sort of dose or maybe a different medication. But it's still not going to get to the root cause of it, you know. And that's what I love doing. I love looking at it and saying, right, you know, let's just do this. Let's look at a bespoke program for you. Here are the nutrients you're missing. Because how many people are walking around with nutrient gaps? It's unbelievable. People think they eat well. People actually walk around thinking they eat very well. And when I go through from their food and mood diary, you know, do a 7-day, and I'll say, this is what you're doing wrong. And they'll go, wow, I thought I was being healthy here, you know. Especially those gluten-free. Everyone's going gluten-free. And gluten-free products actually create type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
Wow, I
They
didn't know
usually,
that.
well, they usually add sugar for taste too and stuff.
And the
Really
tapioca starches, and sometimes almond meal. Too much almond meal isn't great. You know, can affect them. Certain preservatives and chemicals, like these, we call them Franken foods, like the pretend meats, like your Franken meats and things like that. Those can actually create such poor gut bacteria and drive someone into metabolic syndrome. So high cholesterol, insulin resistance, and HbA1c levels out of this world. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many processed and ultra processed food
Ugh.
that, you know, that the marketing that shows it's healthier or contains this, you know, key word that everybody's talking about. Maybe it's protein or maybe it's gluten-free or whatever. But to actually deep dive and to go, well, why does it taste so good, for one thing? And
Yeah.
like in terms of a palate of, oh, I like something sweet. This tastes great and it's good for me, yay. But to actually deep dive and look into, you know, the fact that we don't need everything in a package.
Absolutely,
That's a big
yes.
thing.
Yep.
Actually, talking about that, we did, what was that panel we did with Dr. George? What we could eat and what we couldn't eat.
Oh, and
Oh, I love that.
Intolerance.
Yeah.
And it was insane, the stuff
For
that
him,
I
it was
wasn't supposed to
insane.
eat.
Yeah.
It's like I could not do it.
Yeah.
Like the list was so high that I wasn't allowed to eat lettuce.
Yeah.
It's like,
It can be quite restrictive. So really, that's why, look, elimination plans should be individualized and be very, and also I wouldn't do anything like that without being guided by a practitioner because of the nutrient deficiencies and so forth. Like the FODMAP diet, which is thrown around left, right, and center by practitioners. I mean, put on the FODMAP diet. And really, the FODMAP diet should only be done for a very short term. People are, you know, I'll be talking to people that go, oh, I'm on the FODMAP diet. Oh, how long have you been there? Oh, a couple of years now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, your gut microbiome. You know, because there's so many plant fibers it's missing. And in Australia, you know, colon cancer is the leading cause of death right now. So we know that if we're not getting enough plant fibers, that's contributing. So we want the diversity. We want the plant starches. We want the beautiful fibers that are going to give us not a barren desert, but a flourishing garden, you know. And that's I feel the FODMAP diet is just being thrown willy-nilly everywhere. And it's like every practitioner, you know, go see someone, oh yeah, they just put me on the FODMAP diet. And leave them on that. Oh, do you feel better on it? Okay, just stay on that. No, it's a short-term intervention.
It's kind of like a reset, right? Like a gut
Yeah.
reset.
Well, it's to remove those very, like your oligosaccharides, your fructose, those sorts of those sorts of foods, specifically plant foods, that create like your disaccharides, that create fermentation in the gut and create, you know, gut issues, flatulence, bloating, right? We want to remove those. But when you remove them, in the interim, the healing should start. So what a lot of practitioners are not doing is they're removing them, putting them on a FODMAP diet. Yeah, they feel better, but where's the gut healing? So when they reintroduce them, or if they did, they have an adverse reaction, and then they may actually, because they've lost a lot of gut microbiome in that time and bacteria, they'll start to develop other intolerances and food intolerances. So it's meant to be a process. You go on a FODMAP diet, perhaps if it's right for you, but you go through a gut healing protocol of 8 weeks, just to reset the microbiome, refertilize it, reinoculate. What strains of bacteria do we need? Because every strain is different, so it's so individualized once again, it's like how your gut microbiome specifically is everything, what we think, the food we choose, our thought processes, our libido is so much part of that, so I was doing a recording yesterday with someone else, and I was talking about the t-shirts, my gut microbiome made me do it, because it's such an emphasis on our mood and regulation of mood. And basically, if you're craving sugar, your gut microbiome is way off.
That's funny because I created a t-shirt that said, "My digestive system is mine, not yours."
Oh, yeah, I love it. Love that.
So funny. That's so funny.
We rode from Prince Edward, like across the country in Canada, and went down through the States for some of it, and we're stopping to get gas, and I'm walking in to pay for gas, and I go to open the door, and there's a sign about this big that, those big 60-ounce cups
Yes.
they have at the store,
With this, yeah.
64 ounce or whatever they are. You could fill it up every day of soda for $6.99 a month.
And we just both wanted to throw up in our mouths.
Oh my
That's
God.
like, to me, that's almost the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Like, what are we teaching the kids?
Oh, look at, and look, we know since COVID that we've become, I'll talk about here in Australia, we've become a nation of Uber deliveries. We know we're eating a lot more processed foods, a lot more sugar. Our younger kids are consuming that, and they're massively targeted. Unfortunately, you just turn on the TV and you're massively targeted. Even on pay TV, could see ice cream, chocolates, chips, a lot of processed food. And, now you just don't even have to go to your local supermarket. You just order it. I don't know how, but the kids do. And we call it Uber Eats. Have you got Uber Eats there?
Not Uber Eats, but it's, do we have Uber Eats?
Is it called Uber?
Yeah, there's
My buddy was telling me.
I know you'd have Uber Eats, but yeah.
But what happens is, say you get food delivered,
Food
they
delivery.
charge the restaurant half of what they charge for the food. That's where they make their money here. So if they go to 7-Eleven, actually 7-Eleven even does their own delivery drivers.
You have that too.
You
Probably.
can call up and get like a little cup of ice cream delivered to your house.
Yeah.
But the thing on top
In
of
10 minutes.
the
Yeah.
bad food or the not so healthy food, it's also those who are ordering it are often sedentary as well. So just sitting, hanging around, waiting for the food to come, kind of a thought. But
Yeah.
there are so many, since COVID, a lot of unhealthy things have accumulated, and it's coming back to yourself again, and understanding that yes, we are all individual and we need to listen to our own body.
Yeah, I love that, Lisa. Yeah, that's my motto. Listen to your body. I love that.
Exactly.
I don't normally even think of this, and I'm a diabetic, and I know I probably need or not eat as much, and I don't. But it's like, what did I have for breakfast this morning again?
Some oatmeal.
Oatmeal. I never crave oatmeal.
Yep.
And yesterday morning I woke up and it's like, I want oatmeal. Lisa's got some, I think. So this morning it was like, I want oatmeal. So I had oatmeal this morning and I was craving it. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but.
See, and I had a little bit of oatmeal and now I feel bloated.
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah, that would happen to me. Well, was it quick oats or was it
rolled oats.
Oh, good.
It's rolled oats, but I usually like to do a steel oat or something.
Yeah,
like that.
steel oats are the best because they're lower glycemic index, which is really important with diabetes. But yeah, as long as they're not like quick oats, because quick oats is raise your blood sugars.
Instant oats.
Instant are bad, and everyone loves them here, especially we've moved into winter, so people are using the sachets, and they also have additional honey and other things in the maple syrup ones, and yeah, they're not good. The other thing too is that people drink a lot of those bubble teas now.
Yeah.
They are so high in sugar. You know, like I notice that from my young clients. Like I'll say, what do you have for lunch? And they'll be like, oh, I get a bubble tea. And I'm like, what is this bubble tea? And I asked the kids and they said, oh, it's this, and this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I checked it out. And yeah, the amount of sugar in that is crazy. Even Boost juice, like juices, like you'd be surprised. Like people think, oh, getting all my fruits in, but they're taking the pectin and the fibers out. You know, they're not keeping
Yes, I
those
wanted
in.
to ask you about that actually.
Even here,
Yeah,
I'm at a restaurant or something and I order a mango smoothie.
yeah,
I literally have to go no sweet.
yes,
Yeah, don't add extra. But the whole juicing,
yes,
that was a big thing. And even now, juicing, like a lot of
yes.
people go, yeah, I just juice everything. And I'm like, you mean you take all the fiber? Like you don't drink or eat the fiber. I don't have a juicer. I just have a blender. So I
Same.
will blend it, but it's all at least still in there. That's
Yes.
important to me.
Yes.
And try my best to always eat one ingredient food, which is challenging.
Yes.
Not that pre-made stuff, but yeah, I like some of that stuff too. But
Absolutely, yeah. Juicing, like those juices will contain, you know, 40, 50 grams of sugar, 60 grams of sugar, sometimes more. And you know, I had a client who was working in the city and just below her was a Boost Juice bar. So she said she would just go downstairs and grab one mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and that was it. She thought, oh, I'm getting all my, you know, sustenance and nutrients from the fruits and vegetables. And when I explained how much sugar she was getting, she was just like, what do you mean? And I said, well, you're slowing, you know, you're increasing the transit time and you're increasing the amounts of blood sugars that are moving into the cells. You know, we need to slow that transit time. We need to slow down. The fiber does that, removing pectin and all the fibrous, you know, plant material that the skin gives us, and the roughage, you know, you've got to include that. And I think, you know, and so many people diet with those juicing. They'll do a lot of juicing and, you know, they'll fast on juices. You know, I guess depending on your metabolic flexibility could be okay for some, but it's definitely not ideal for all people.
yes, I was going to ask you, and we're starting to kind of wind up here, but can you debunk this little sort of thing I see a lot is fruitarians, and maybe again it's their metabolic ability, but what can you kind of inform us about being a fruitarian, which is only eating fruit, I'm told?
Yeah. So look, it is a reductionist way of looking at food. You know, it's once again certain diets that will, you know, eliminate certain food groups and only have one type. Obviously, anything like that is not going to be great for your metabolic flexibility. It's not going to be great for gut health. It's not going to be great for your stool either. So your stool will suffer. And also, you will develop nutrient gaps if you're only getting one type of food in. So we know with fruit has antioxidants in there. We know antioxidants are really great for insulin resistance. It can actually improve insulin sensitivity issues. But when we're only having fruit, we're increasing, we call it gluconeogenesis of the liver. So the liver's responsible for metabolizing a lot of that. And what that tends to do is it will metabolize it and put it in the form of fats. And it'll release those fats when it's needed for energy, and sometimes it's sort of then deposited into certain organs or might be deposited into certain tissues. But the problem is, obviously, the more you're drinking that, the more you're raising your blood sugar levels, the more you're raising that glycemic index, and we call that a glycemic loading. So what tends to happen is, you know, over time your blood sugar levels are going to be peaking and then they drop, because what happens is you're not getting a steady blood sugar level. If the fruits and things were if it's juicing or if it's just eating fruit, you're not getting a steady level because you're not getting other proteins, and proteins are really important for stabilizing hunger, for stabilizing your blood sugar levels as well. So you're missing components of your macronutrients, so your good fats and your protein, which is really important part of that. So when we're just living on one type, fruit, yeah, it's okay. Like if you've got a virus and or you've just come off a virus and you can't have any sort of solid fruit food, I say, yeah, have some fruit, one day or two, but not making that a component of your meal planning. It's just you're eliminating too many food groups and really putting yourself at danger of, phytonutrient gaps and nutrient deficiency.
Yeah, I seem to see that a lot online. The whole,
I think we do it as well.
what do you need?
As well, last week I made a great big huge fruit salad.
Yep.
And then almost every day I had fruit salad with a little bit of granola and some yogurt for
Yep.
breakfast. Every morning.
Okay.
Fibers as well too, but
So do you check your blood sugars after that though, Scott?
No, I usually just check it in the morning.
Okay, maybe worthwhile looking to see. I don't know what granola you're eating and I don't know what yogurt, but it might be raising your blood sugar levels, that type of meal. So just be really especially if it's your first one.
I'm generally every morning I'm about 6.5, which I'm not sure how you guys
Yeah, same. Yep. Okay, so not too bad.
Sometimes, like yesterday I think I was 7 point something yesterday morning, and then I did check the other night, and I completely forgot I had a mango less than 2 hours before the whole mango, and I'm like, 9, oh, I'm at 9. I mean, I woke up and I was 6.3.
it's tricky here in Thailand. It's tricky sometimes in Thailand here.
Yeah. Look, a good biohack, or good, I don't like hacks, but if you're going in to have your blood sugars tested, having sardines beforehand or the night before can really help with blood sugar sensitivity, yeah.
Anything else besides?
Well, look, omega-3s, the whole set of omega-3 fats, they help with insulin sensitivity, and they help with reducing inflammation, because type 2 diabetes is an inflammatory condition. So the more we can reduce inflammation, the better we can have a regulated blood sugar balance.
We might need a hack on how to eat sardines or sneak them in.
Mashing them into salads.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm going to book an appointment and come see you.
Yeah, come and see me, Scott. Yep. You too, Lise.
Awesome.
Would you recommend getting the big blood panel we can get done first, or would you just recommend coming to see you?
See, if you've got bloods, I look at them first. I don't often say to you, get this and this done, because sometimes we don't need all of these functional panels. So you might be paying $400 to $1,000 on testing that you don't need. So It's best to look at symptoms are 70 to 80% of the picture.
Okay.
So and in my questionnaires, they're designed to really encapsulate what's going on, and they might sometimes overlap, but that's because I establish a pattern or some trends and get to the crux of, okay, this is what's happening for you. Yeah. And then once that's, yeah.
I'll sleep till about 5 or 6 in the morning, and I'll get up and I'll have 1 or 2 coffees, and then by 11 o'clock I gotta have a nap. And then even in between 11 and 4, I'll probably have another nap before dinner. And they're only like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And he feels rejuvenated.
And I feel rejuvenated.
That's okay. Well, a nap in the day, we know 45 minutes maximum is the sweet spot with napping. So that's okay. Yeah. But if you're sleeping longer than that, that's going to affect it. We start to see that, we call that circadian rhythm disruption, where we're not energized in the day when we're meant to be. We're a little bit more nocturnal, and that's going to affect blood sugar regulation. That's going to affect cravings and blood sugar balancing.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely nocturnal. Not nocturnal. I'm in bed at 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's a good time. Yeah, it makes a difference as well when you're sleeping earlier if you're type 2 diabetic, or if you're having any sort of metabolic inflexibility issues, hormonal imbalance.
definitely notices when he is more physically active, but Scott's had physical issues over his life, which kind of goes in and out in regards to the amount of dedication to wanting to be physical and active,
Well,
right?
that's how I was even thinking about stress. My neck is sore 24/7, depending. It's all just depending on how bad or how. And it's like that's stress in itself. Living with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mobility is a big one. Physiological stress, that especially if you've got pain, inflammation, all of that. Yeah. And that impedes on your quality of life too. Because we have to have some form of, we need to move. Our ancestors were so used to that. It's coming back home to the body once again. If we can't move properly, then we need to look at that too as a sign.
Yeah, exactly. There's always signs. We just need to listen.
Absolutely.
Right.
Listen again, Lisa. Yeah, listen is the operative word, I think, for me. I think the kids laugh because I was saying yesterday that, and I always say, listen to your body. Just listen to what's going on. They always go, listen, Mum, listen to what's going on. And then and it's true. I do say that often in a lot of my recordings or in a lot of my, if I'm saying doing anything, I'm always talking to clients and saying, listen to the body. We don't listen. We just don't.
No, we often don't, or even to ask ourselves the question, because usually we'll ask yourself, should I eat this? And when you get the, not sure, guess what? There's your answer.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yes.
That sort
Yeah.
of thing. So, for our audience and our listeners who are watching our show today with you, where can they connect with you? What are your contact information?
Absolutely. So on Insta, I'm the embrace_functional_medicine. I have a YouTube channel at Embrace Holistic Health. On Facebook, it's Sharon Casagalea, or the Embrace Functional Medicine Practitioner. So there's a couple there. I can probably give you some of those details as well, Lisa.
Yes.
But I have a website too, which is embraceholistichealth.com.au.
Perfect. And I really do love that word, embrace. That is a great word.
Yeah, me
And I got a
too.
silly question. Because to me, I read it backwards at first. I'm like, oh, eyesight. But you have 2010, and the first time I read it, I read 1020. Yeah. What does that mean?
So 2010 was basically when the whole before Embrace was Holistic Health and Wellness Coach. So it was the two businesses together. So it's basically when it started until now. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we put that in there. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sharon Galea. We really appreciate your time.
It's been amazing, and I probably will see you in the near future.
I hope to, guys. Thank you so
Maybe
much.
that will be our trip to Australia.
Yes, please keep in touch.
Do you do this stuff online?
Yes, I do. I do Zoom as well.
That's what
Yeah.
Yes, but she may need to see you in person. You never know.
You never know.
He's a special case. I'll just say.
Is he? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I love a challenge. I love special cases. I deep dive into that. I really get into it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And so for those of our listeners who are listening and watching, if you like this show, please make sure you leave a comment or a thumbs up, or even ask Sharon a question. I'm sure she can come back and get an answer for you. And also as well, please subscribe and turn on for those notifications so you can catch all the episodes. As well, if you're looking for Scott and I, whether you'd like to see about coaching or coming on our podcast as a guest, or maybe look into our books, which are sitting behind us, you can find us at forwardwalkingchoices.com. So thank you very much, Sharon, and we'll say thank you from Thailand, and so we do say in the Thai way, so I'll say Kapun Ka, I'll say Kapun Maka, which means thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be on your show from Down Under.
Thanks. Thank you. I love it. That was a great way to finish it off. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
we'll connect with you via your
Yeah,
website.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys.
All right, super.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
Sherry.
it. Have the best
Take
day.
care. You too.
Bye.